Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Morning Shot. You are in luck. Today we have two big stories for you, two with profound implications for South Africa. And in the first one, we're going to talk about, of all places, Tembisa. Because you know what, Byron? Tembisa is implementing spatial apartheid. How does that make you feel, Byron?
It makes me feel very curious because what Tembisa is actually showing us is that everything that we say as white South Africans around the white people actually applies to townships now. And the black people are following the same advice. Who knew? Apparently, the whole enclave system is the future of South Africa for all South Africans. Hey, Ramon, we were right. Who knew?
I mean, as I said, we are a hit show in Tembisa because they're following our advice. Because just to bring you up to speed, basically Tembisa is becoming a gated community. The community there is, well, filled with crime. I think it's the place with the most residential robberies in the entire country. And therefore, the entire community has had enough. And therefore, they're building, well, cordoning off sections of the township for the people that live there. And guess what? They're paying security guards to defend them from criminals. Now, Byron, when I look back in time in South Africa, every time this happened in a middle class suburb, it was called spatial apartheid. Like basically, whites didn't want to live with blacks. But now that blacks are doing it for themselves, I don't know what to call it anymore.
Let's actually put this up for proper debate between the two of us. If you look at any state, the primary role of the state is, if you break it down to nothing more, is to provide protection from violence to the citizens of the state, right? We do that through the armed forces, so we protect us from violence from a foreign invasion, and we do it through the police force, which protects us from violence from, well, a fellow man. So once you have a safe environment, you can then build infrastructure and communities around the infrastructure. And it's very interesting that what Tembisa is doing is it's actually cornering off its township, is providing a fence, and then it is providing for the security means of the individuals that live there. Once they have done that, they say that they are going to be using private security that they fund, and that security company will provide for the safekeeping of all the people that live there. They then say they're going to go forward and start providing a form of, let's call it, community leveled regulation of the trade that occurs in there. Specifically, they want to get rid of all the Somali shops, and they want to have a South African first mentality to the people that live there in order to clean up their area. And this is exactly how local economies are born. And if we look at the Orania model, well, Orania is just 50 steps ahead of these guys. And all they ended up doing is creating their own infrastructure to provide their own water and electricity, which, if Tembisa carries on this track, is exactly where it will inevitably go. But you know, Ramon, before we talk about this, we should really think about what this all means for the security of that place, specifically in terms of insurance. And you know who does insurance, Ramon? Well, we do. If you have an insurance policy and if you want to get a cheaper insurance policy, why don't you drop us an email at ramon@morningshot.co.za. That's ramon@morningshot.co.za. And we'll see if we can get you a better price. Anyway, Ramon, what do you think of all this?
Well, I think it is fundamentally interesting that even in the townships of South Africa, the fragmentation of the state is happening. And a key thing in the townships is, do you think they're asking for permission from the city council to put up gates? Do you think they're asking for permission to sort of cordon off areas? No, I sincerely doubt that. I mean, there is someone from the municipality of Ekurhuleni saying you need approval from the council to do this, but the community members don't seem to want that approval in the first place. They're doing it first, then seeking approval after the fact. And this just goes to show, ladies and gentlemen, the fragmentation of South Africa is on us. 30 years ago, Orania saw it. Today, Tembisa is seeing it. And for the foreseeable future, who knows what else might happen in this regard. South Africa is breaking apart. And that's a very good thing. Everyone, irrespective of race, culture, class, is agreeing with us on this.
But you know who isn't agreeing with us? Ramaphosa. Because news has come out today that apparently Ramaphosa will no longer be challenging the Pala Pala report findings in court. So this is the Pala Pala report that basically said that Ramaphosa may have a criminal case to answer. And Ramaphosa originally appealed this to the Constitutional Court on the basis that he felt he didn't have a case to answer. But now that the report went before Parliament and the ANC protected their president, Ramaphosa seems to have abandoned his court application on the basis that, who cares if South Africa thinks I'm corrupt? ANC will protect me. What do you think of this, Ramon?
Well, it's interesting. The Constitutional Court did say that they were not the first avenue for relief for the president. I mean, politicians love to do this. They go straight to the Constitutional Court, but you normally have to go to the High Court first, and then Supreme Court of Appeal, and then to the Constitutional Court if there is a constitutional issue at hand. But whoever advises presidents in this country just don't know the distinction between all those things. So the Con Court said this Pala Pala thing, we're not here to decide what goes on. Go to the High Court rather. And that is what he is supposed to do, but he doesn't want to do that because he's going to rely on the support of the ANC in Parliament. I do remember previous president who, did this to great effect. Who was it? Who was it, Byron? Just remind me.
I don't know. But I believe he used to count something like 3, 27. You listen carefully. Anyway, that guy, he apparently used to do it quite a bit. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may be asking yourself, why is this actually an important news story? As Ramon rightly points out, if the president actually wanted relief, all he'd have to do is go to the High Court, lose or win his case, and then appeal it up the channels. And that would be the appropriate way of doing it, if he gave a damn. Now, if we all cast our mind back, when Ramaphosa came to power, what did he come to the power on the back of? Well, it was Ramaphoria, the idea that he was the clean one, right? He was the guy with good judgment, and you could trust this guy because he had your fate at hand. But nobody believes that anymore, right? I mean, we've seen 7 wasted years now, and we've seen far more state degradation underneath Ramaphosa than we ever did underneath Zuma, which actually has been recently leading to a number of business individuals saying that they don't actually trust Ramaphosa anymore, and he's not the right guy for the job anymore. Some business leaders are actually saying, and we saw this on the weekend, saying that perhaps we should give, of all people, Paul Mashatile a chance. Who knew? Apparently, he may even be better just because he'll make a decision. Now, why is this important? Because on the back of that, I believe, and I think you would agree with me, Ramon, is that Ramaphosa doesn't give a shit anymore about trying to keep his name clean. And as a result, he's falling back onto the old trope of, well, nobody trusts me anyway, so who cares? I've got the support of the ANC guys. Do what I want. ANC has a majority. They'll keep me clean. And with that all being said, it does appear that Ramaphosa seems to have thrown aside his good guy, his Mr. Clean mantra. Would you not agree?
I fully agree with you. I mean, it was never there in the first place. It was propped up basically by Bell Pottinger tactics from the Ramaphoria camp. He received over R1 billion in donations for his CR17 campaign. A lot of them were spent, no doubt, on PR for the man. But what this shows is that Ramaphosa is relying only on the ANC to sort of save his skin. And we do know that the ANC sort of like him because he's more popular than the ANC. But that may change sometime soon. Who knows? Maybe after 2024, the ANC will be like, Ramaphosa, you useless dolt. Let's bring Paul Mashatile in. And then he won't have the support of Parliament to defend him from these allegations of the $500,000 in the couch allegations. So it's a bit of a weird move by Ramaphosa. If he really wanted to clear his name, he would go to court. But he doesn't want to do that. Not because he lacks money, but because fundamentally, as we said a long time ago, he has quietly quit being the president. And this is further indication of that. And number 2, it just shows he's nothing more than an animal of the ANC. Just rely on sheer numbers in parliament that you don't have to account for anything ever again. Classic ANC through and through.
Absolutely. Now, news obviously also came out on the weekend that when everybody was criticizing Ramaphosa for having the best interests of South Africa at heart, just kidding, nobody believed that. Everybody said that he was basically a useless waste of space and his lack of leadership contributed to state degradation. And they were criticizing him one by one by one. And one of the things that did go on is that business highlighted just the amount of outflowing in funds that have occurred in the last year. A lot of it due to Ramaphosa's lack of leadership and the missteps that he appears to be making in terms of policy decisions. So with that all being said, news came out on the weekend that Ramaphosa had actually said to the ANC caucus, look, guys, if you want me to go, just say the word and I'll go. Which does beg the question, does he actually really want to go and all he's really waiting for is just a quiet like nudge or tap on the shoulder of like, okay, now's your time, buddy, you can go. Paul's ready to take your place. And it does appear that Paul is priming himself and getting ready to do that. And why do I say that? Because at these conferences where business got together to discuss their future, it was very telling that the key speaker was not Cyril Ramaphosa, it was Paul Mashatile, of all people. the ANC deputy president. And that leads me to believe that possibly the ANC understands Ramaphosa has no will to be there anymore. He is no longer the darling of the news. We've seen numerous news articles criticizing his leadership style, and possibly his time in office is coming to an end.
I think you're completely correct. The man is so indecisive, he can't actually decide when to just fucking go. Like this is like the psychology of the person. Like not even the decision about when he steps away from it. I think he's there just for the elections. He is 10% more popular in the polls than the ANC itself. He's at 40%, the ANC is at 30%. He will stay in place until the election so the ANC can get maybe 50%, depending on how things work out. And as soon as those polls close, I expect to say like, okay, cheers guys, I'm going to Ibiza, I'm going to my mansion in Fresnay, and I'm just tired of dealing with all of the shit. And therefore, we're going to have Paul as president come 2024. That is it's very obvious to me. It's very obvious to a lot of other people. And I'm sure, Byron, it is obvious to you as well.
Yeah, and I suppose the one comment that I would give as my final closing comment is with Paul as president, there is only one real main positive that I can see for now, and that is he's not a communist. He never claimed to be a communist, and he never claimed on TV that he was a socialist. He's just a grifter, an ANC grifter. I can get behind that. How about you?
Oh, so can I. Zuma 2.0? Bring it on. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you soon. Cheers.